At the end of the day, selling is transferring a feeling. If you don't have the feeling, you can't transfer it. If you don't have a good, positive feeling, dude, you're an actor. You have to sell and run your business from a place of positivity. And however you get there, God bless you. Welcome to the Pete Primeau Show. It is episode 155, and we are here with my friend and my boss, Mark Klingenberg from Instant Comfort and Personal Comfort. We're going to be doing a Vegas preview, but first, let me pay the bills. If you haven't bought my book, Sell a Million, what are you waiting for? 101 tips for furniture and mattress stores to sell another $1 million or more this year. This is a book on maximizing your business, getting traffic in your store. If you haven't bought this yet on Amazon, what are you waiting for? When you buy your book and you have a question about how to implement any one of those chapters, call me at 419-560-3169, and I will walk you through what you need to do to implement it 100% free. No additional sneaky fees that sometimes people do. That's not the point of this book. This book is a thank you for making a poor boy from upstate New York a very, very happy and productive member of society. And that may not have happened without this industry. So I'd love to thank my friends at the Mattress Industry Network group for sponsoring the show. And if you are in the mattress industry, we want you in this group. There's over 2,200 of us in this group now. It's 100% free. We're committed to helping you build, market, sell, and succeed in the mattress industry. Everybody's in here, from store owners to RSAs to sales reps to VPs of sales to owners of manufacturers. So join the group, hit that QR code now, and I'm going to make a special invitation. Hey, Tim McDonald, how are you? I am so glad you must have gotten those chains on your tires because you are in a tundra. I'd like to invite everybody out on Monday night at Market to the Victory Burger. It's in Circa, and you have to join us. I will be there at 6:00, and it's 100% free, and it's a great meetup. I usually leave on the red eye on Monday, but I am leaving out Tuesday night this show, so I will be there. I promise to be there, and I want you to come. You've got to just be there. That's it. And thank you, Mattress Industry Network Group. Thank you, Greg, Jen, and Steve Hauk, for all that you do for the mattress industry. And Mark, welcome to the show. Mark, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. We're good.
All right.
So before we get started, I have a breaking news announcement. So LMP out of Michigan, also known as I Love Pillow, I Love Mattress, has just hired our friend formerly from AW Industries, Paul Kale, to be their VP of Sales and Marketing. So welcome to the team, Paul. I couldn't be more excited to have you lead our team at LMP, and it'll be a great market. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody at Market. Man, oh man, Mark, a lot of stuff going on, but let's go back to the beginning, and maybe a little history lesson would be kind of a great way to start. Let's talk about adjustable comfort in the mattress industry.
Sure. Excited to do so. I've always been fascinated with adjustable comfort products. I sold them at retail, was pretty successful doing so, had a lot of fun with it. And one of the things that it answered for me, one of the things that came very clear really quickly was when you have couples that walk in that have different support resulting comfort preferences, you have a challenge when you have set feel mattresses. And many times, a compromise has to be made. Now, if their preferences are close, it makes it a lot easier when you're selling spring and foam and hybrid and adjustable comfort bedding. However, when they are very disparate, you have an answer in adjustable comfort, aka smart bed, as we call them today, because there is no compromise that need to be made on each side of the mattress. And in our case, you have 45 comfort settings sensibly on each side of the mattress, which is basically like having a sleep shop at your disposal every night. And if your needs change, you're able to adjust. So that was the idea way, way back in the day. And the 80s, as early as the 80s, American National Manufacturing, who cut their teeth in the waterbed industry, came up with an adjustable comfort based mattress utilizing a pressurized air system, which is really their DNA. In their DNA, they that's their specialty, pressurized air systems. And it had a little dial on a controller that had 10 independent comfort settings. I don't know if we have that picture, but it was in the 80s that this was developed. And that's when it all started. There it is. Okay. So you can see the chambers in there. If you see at the top of that picture, you'll see a console with a dial with 10 independent settings. This is way ahead of its time. Okay, this is cutting edge technology, particularly for the 80s. So that's when it launched. And again, it's because we know from experience, I learned very early on as a sales pro that I had couples for whom it was a real challenge to meet both of their comfort preferences on each side of the mattress. And then you'd hear things from one significant other in the couple. Well, I can sleep on anything. Well, then you qualify them and you find out that they actually do have a comfort preference, right? And then they find out that they can each get exactly what they want on their side of the mattress. But beyond that, Pete, here's the other really important factor when we talk about sleep system. People's needed preferences can change over time. Case in point, I sleep on our product. I've been sleeping on smart beds, aka adjustable comfort mattresses, for now better than 20 years. I've been sleeping on our product for about 7 years. About 2 years ago, I had a serious physical issue that required multiple surgeries. And I had been sleeping at a level in our system, which was a 28. My wife sleeps in the low 40s. She likes a much firmer setting on her side of the mattress. But 28, when I was recovering from surgery, did not work for me any longer. Now, when you're in pain, okay, and you can't adjust something that you're supposed to lay on for 6 to 8 hours a night, hopefully 8 hours, okay, that's a problem. But what I was able to do was able to grab my remote, retailor the support level in that mattress to the need that I had at that point. And I adjusted it in very small increments. And about 22 was where I felt much, much better. Of course, I sleep on a flex head, which is a split top mattress, and I was able to adjust the head and the foot a little bit. And I found the optimal level for rest and recovery. And guess what? My wife's now recovering from a surgery, and she's having to do the same thing. Okay, and we were able to retailor the support resulting comfort on each side of the bed. That's magic. It is a wonderful, wonderful answer for both your need in the present and the fact that you can change it in the future. So that's it in a nutshell. Now it's come a long, long way. We started out with that were fan-based pumps that basically sounded like a dustbuster underneath your mattress, albeit they would never go off unless you adjusted them. Then we moved into pneumatic pump system with very reliable seals and solenoid, with user interfaces that were really very, very user friendly, with remotes on each side of the bed that you could grab, with systems that would continuously monitor the pressure on that side, on your side of the bed, that was actually anchored to a objective measurement of scale, pressure scale, which in our case is millimeters of mercury. In prior products, we used PSI, which a lot of people were familiar with because of tire pressure, okay, which is an issue in North Dallas, by the way, right now because it's 9 degrees. So we use the millimeters of mercury pressure scale, which is an objective measurement of scales, very accurate, and all of our pressurized air systems are calibrated to that scale. Now, why is that important? It's important because when, for instance, I wanted to go back to 28 millimeters of mercury from 22 millimeters of mercury, when I had recovered from my surgery, I felt confident that the feel of that bed at 28 was going to be the 28 that I remembered, and that's exactly the case. Then we started adding apps, so via Bluetooth. So I can download an app on my smartphone, and if I want a wireless option, I can now adjust the mattress with my bed. There it is, the smart bed that changes with you. That is really our big fat claim. Okay, that's what it's all about. Then you're scrolling up, you got the flex set. Individual comfort maintains the cuddle zone. One of the issues that we also had for years and years, you know this, you're an industry veteran with tons of experience. And by the way, congratulations on your book. I already have mine in my library. So I just started digging into that toolbox, but I digress. You're welcome, brother. One of the issues that we have with full split beds is people like the full adjustability, the ability to articulate the head and the foot, but they didn't like sleeping in the feel of sleeping in 2 separate mattresses. I heard that over and over and over again. With the flex head, in our case, you're able to articulate the head. And by the way, you can articulate the foot to a considerable degree because that foot rail on ours flexes. Okay. Now, if you need a full knees over the heart position for a medical reason, you'd probably want to go full split. And there you see the remote. So the ability to adjust the mattress via the remote. And by the way, if you buy a compatible power base, there's a number of power bases in the market that are compatible with our app, you can actually control the power base with our app. I mean, how smart is that? You can set memories for the power bases. You can set memories for the mattress, so that it can remember your favorite settings in case you have to articulate it for some reason. Just smart feature after smart feature after smart feature. And I could get into the weeds about construction, and we can go there if you want to, much, much deeper, because I'm a smart bed nerd. And one of the reasons I loved American National, working with American National Manufacturing that manufactures both personal comfort and instant comfort, is the detail of the construction, the design, and the components that I absolutely believe in and love. So very, very excited about that. But
so Mark,
go ahead and pick up on something, anything else.
No, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit because you didn't do it yourself. So I'm going to do it for you. So Mark is one of the few. He's the only person that I know that's ever sold over 1,000 smart beds at retail. So Mark's background is not just wholesale. Mark's background is retail, wholesale, retail, wholesale. So Mark understands this category of smart beds better than anyone else to the degree that I would say this, I've never seen anybody put on a more meaningful presentation to sales pros than I've seen with Mark, whether it be in person or our Zoom calls. And so when me and Mark, we were introduced by our mutual friend, Rick Lynch. And, I wasn't necessarily on board with the whole thing because sometimes I'm a little slow, and I was a little slow on this one. And Mark, and I'm kind of going through objections. And, Mark sends me this picture of his hand. Now, put your hand up. This is one of the biggest hands you'll ever shake in your life. He sends me a picture of this hand, of this big paw, and he's trying to crunch our hose, but he can't do it because it's a medical grade hose that's steel reinforced. I want you to talk about that just a little bit because I think it's important, because it's an objection that sometimes people had in the past with other smart beds.
Sure. So very simply, and I've sold products with non-reinforced hoses, and one of the issues with hoses that are not reinforced is that they can kink or pinch. So if they travel around a headboard or a support of any kind, and it makes a quick turn, it will pinch. And obviously, that is an issue when you're relying on a pressurized air system for support in the mattress and you want to be able to adjust it. If it impedes the airflow, you got a problem. And a lot of times in years past, when I'd get a call from a customer here in Dallas, North Dallas, and they'd say, hey, it's just not adjusting the way I think it should. It seems to be slow or hardly adjusting at all. I'd say, do me a favor, run that air hose, make sure there's no kinks or pinches in the hose. And sure enough, that was the problem. Well, one of the first things I noticed when I toured American National Manufacturing and was invited by the owner, Craig Miller, who I have a ton of respect for, to look at the beds manufactured by American National. And I told him I'm basically going to really dig into a lot of detail in the mattress. And he loved that. He said, yeah, please do. And we walked through it. First thing I saw was a steel reinforced air hose. And I said, oh my goodness, this is awesome. This is so exciting to me. Now that may not get everybody else going, but for me, that is a wonderful feature for smart bed technology, because it ensures the free flow of the air in that pressurized air system. So when you grab the user interface or your app and you want to adjust the bed, it's going to adjust quickly and dependably. So that was just one feature that I was super, super excited about.
So the other one I want you to talk about, because we've heard this at retail. If somebody bought a smart bed in the 90s, they will sometimes complain about the fact that the edges kind of bowed out.
Right.
And can you talk about what we do in our bed that prevents that from happening?
Sure. Very simply, it's just physics. When you're laying on a bed that is relying on pressurized air chambers for proper support resulting comfort, when you're adjusting them, what happens is the pressure as they adjust is transferred on those sidewalls. They are transferred out to the side panels. Okay, and if you don't have something that is going to mitigate that pressure, all of that pressure is transferred to the cover. And what happens is over time, fabric covers will stretch. They will destabilize some. And if you have foam rails that are not locked in place, they too will displace. And it was really, really common over time. You would see a bulge on the side of the bed, or you would see a bow head to toe. And what we used to say about that is that the bed would get a little loose. Okay. And then what would happen is the chamber would separate a bit, and then you have a bit of a valley down the middle of the bed. and then the bed is misshapen. The way we address that is to lock in place our foam rail system. And the way we do that is we use an industrial adhesive on all of our corners and on the bottoms. We glue them down in that bucket. So the base is glued and all of the joints are glued with an industrial adhesive. Then we take the extra step of using a high tensile piece of fabric and we put straps on all of the corners. All four corners are reinforced with a high tensile piece of fabric strap to make sure that that rail system, that edge support system, is locked in place. And we call it the Loctite edge support system. Okay, so it keeps the chambers exactly where they should be, nice and tight. We don't attach our chambers. Okay, so our chambers allow for full adjustability in the middle, up and down. There's completely free travel, and it keeps them in place. And our beds, I mean, I have a Q9 that I've been sleeping on, Q9 flex head with power bases, obviously, that I've been sleeping on now for, oh goodness, 7 years. And everything is square, everything is plumb, there's no bowing or bulging in the bed, and it's all due. And hey, listen, I'm a man of size. Okay, if you see me at market, I'm 6'4", pretty hefty dude. I can displace some air. I can cause some side pressure in that bed, and it's perfectly plumb, perfectly square. And when I roll to the edge of the bed, I still have great edge support in that sleep system.
Mark, let's talk about, we would be doing our company a disservice if we didn't go back in time and kind of talk about American National and the other things that we do in the medical community, in the Hercules bed and all of that, and how that makes a nice tie-in for our RSAs, our sales pros, to talk about. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So American National used to be tied tightly with a company called Sizewise. And Sizewise is a company in Kansas City that has since been bought out by another medical company. But American National's specialty was in producing pressurized air systems for hospital beds and medical applications. So I walked in prior years. I have walked the line of medical beds in complete fascination, and was actually talking to one of their engineers about what these mattresses are capable of. I mean, they were making beds that were capable of supporting it was in a pressurized air system that was capable of supporting a patient that weighed up to half a ton. Okay, so they really shown in the area of bariatric patients, and they made beds that would support bariatric patients, for instance, that while supporting them would blow air around them in order to keep them dry so they didn't get bed sores. They made mattresses that would slowly, using a pressurized air system, support them and rock them back and forth very slowly so they didn't get bed sores, which is a major issue for people recovering from surgeries that are spending a long time in bed recovering from surgeries or illnesses. So the expertise, this is where they cut their teeth. There's a lot of engineering that has gone into this. So when you talked about, the steel reinforced air hoses, that application, I'm sure, came right from the medical side. Something very similar is used on those beds. Medical grade solenoids that control the valve system inside the air control unit, again, very robust. So yes, that is kind of the backdrop to the experiential side of American national manufacturing, and it was just absolutely fascinating to me. I don't have anything to do with the medical, former medical side, medical products, but it was really cool to see where those roots went down into concerning that. And then, of course, years before that, in the 70s and 80s, when water beds were the thing, they were really heavy into that technology as well. But that again goes to pressurized systems, seals, the proper materials to build it with, and it's been part of their DNA from the inception.
Is there anything that we skipped over on the history of the smart bed or the evolution of the smart bed that we need to tie up?
I don't think so. I mean, again, building on the foundational story, which is adjustable comfort. The core need, it's meeting a core need for people, especially couples, where each person gets what they want on their side of the bed. And you're scrolling up there, you see 40 years of innovation, dealing with manufacturing. You can see there air chambers, interchangeable. By the way, because everything's accessible, all hail the top zippered cover, by the way, which is the only way, in my humble opinion, you should make a smart bed, is with top zippered covers, which makes it very easy to get into the bed. You can inspect the bed. If there's a need to change any component in the bed, because it's completely modular. And a lot of people struggle with wrapping their head around that, because it typically in our industry, they're all sealed. Obviously, you get sealed spring beds or sealed foam beds. You can't get into it. You can't refresh anything over time. But with our beds, you can. Now, I just want a little caveat here, little caveat, okay? I'm going to digress a little bit. I am so excited to see the development of adjustable comfort mattresses and bedding in our industry that are utilizing other systems. I see now a top zippered cover spring bed that's been around for a while, where you can actually, it's modular, you can adjust both sides. You have 4 options on each side of the bed that can be refreshed. Okay, it can be changed if needs be. I think that's forward thinking. I have seen foam beds, much the same, top zippered covers, modular system inside there. Okay, now it's not immediately adjustable, and you don't have near the adjustability that you have utilizing a pressurized air system in a typical smart bed technology, but it's being developed, and I love that. Okay, um, so you see that moving forward, and you and I both know this, Pete. The split head is taking off like a rocket. Okay, people are catching on to the fact that you can you can achieve a level of adjustability and comfort in a split head that you're not going to get in a just a typical king or queen full that moves up and down together, or a fully split king that's 2 separate mattresses. Okay. Do you want me to adjust the question or address the question?
Yeah, let's do that. Steve, thanks for your question. Steve's question is, Mark, I tuned in a little late. You may have covered it, but how do you overcome the hammock feel argument?
So here's the great thing. If you want to hammock these beds, you can. You take our bed down to about a 5, yeah, you're going to hammock that thing. Vast majority of people are not going to come anywhere near close to that. Okay. The softest setting I've ever qualified a customer for was 11. Okay. This was a lady who really did like an 11. And the way I qualify people is I start them at 50, which is the firmest. I take them to 20, just so they can get acquainted with the comfort contrast in the mattress from 50 to 20. And then I'll say, could you use a little more or a little less? And within 2 or 3 moves, generally we can find what they feel is optimal for them when I qualify them on that. About 80% of people are going to go up from 20, 20% in my experience go down from 20. Usually we end up in the teens. Truth is, if you wanted to hammock it, you could. But the vast majority of people will not even come close to that feel where the center of your body around your waist and hips are much lower than your head and your feet. Okay.
Great
And,
question,
by,
Steve.
and by the way, I mean, I can hammock a very soft spring bed when I lay down on it. Same thing with foam, where I'm basically looking at my toes just because of my body mass. Purely, I'm a big guy. But that is a great question. And what's wonderful about our beds is you can avoid hammocking. Okay, you can completely avoid it, and the vast majority of people obviously want to, and they will, based on their comfort preference.
So here's a question I want to ask you. I think I know the answer to it, but I still want to bring it out because I think it's important, Mark. Um, so we have 45 set-ins on each side. How does that compare to the next biggest competitor at retail or wholesale?
Our biggest competitor has 20 on each side of the bed, and I want to say give it from 0 to 100 in increments of 5, and I hail them for what they've done. And I've said this many times in the past when I used to travel for a former smart bed manufacturer that is no longer named Comfort Air. I actually looked for Radisson hotels because they carried my primary competitor's P5. And what was fun about that is that I could get really close to my preference, and my preference was somewhere between 60 and 65 in their system, which was wonderful for me, especially for people who travel for a living and are laying on random hotel beds, which we're about to do as we travel to Vegas, right? And this is a very fitting phrase. It's a total crapshoot. You have no idea what that bed is going to feel like until you walk in the door, you lay down on it, and it's like, okay, well, it's passable, or oh my God, I'm in for a rough time or whatever. So I used to look for Radissons because Radissons carried my primary competitor's P5 bed, and somewhere between 60 and 65 was my preferred setting. And the beautiful thing was I could get close. I could get very close, and I slept just fine. See, I'm a purist. I am a true believer in the smart bed concept. The beautiful thing for us, however, is that I get to split the difference on our mattress. So if it was 20, I would have to choose between 25 and 30, but I get to settle on a 28. So we can make much finer, finer tooth adjustments in our mattresses. And that's why I say it's like having a sleep shop. I when I travel and I talk to owners and sales managers, I'll say, well, how many SKUs do you typically have on your floors? And it ranges anywhere from 35 to 60, right? Some of them have a lot. We have locations here in Dallas. I know one that has 120 SKUs. But typically, we have as many feels in our mattress as a typical sleep shop has, which is a beautiful thing. But that's how it compares. In the past, honestly, I've sold beds that had 100 settings. Okay, but I will tell you that in my own personal opinion, it was overkill because the adjustments were so small that I could not barely feel the difference as I was adjusting it down. I had to get down pretty much in the 60s until I could really start feeling the adjustments happen. So we feel like 45 is more than sufficient to feel the adjustments in increments of 1, and B, will allow the vast majority of people to find their optimal sleep setting. Then when you add power bases, and we could go on and on for about the development of the lifestyle bases that are out there today. It's just staggering how far that technology has come. And you're able to adjust, articulate the head, the foot. Now you got head tilt. Some have lumbar support. You got undermount lighting. You got USB ports, so you can charge your smart devices. I mean, it's amazing. And Pete, I love them all. I love them all. When I grew up in Western Michigan, I was known to haunt the malls, and I was always in Brookstone. I looked for Sharper Image. I was in Spencer's looking for the newest, the latest, greatest technological advancement in various areas. So I think it's fantastic.
Can you just spend a moment or two talking about using a smart bed as a diagnostic tool to save a sales pro time?
So I'm so glad you brought that up, because floor dynamics are absolutely critical. I don't care what you're selling, and I've sold them all. I've sold very high end foam beds. I've sold hybrids. I have sold spring beds. I've had the pleasure of selling them all. And of course, we talk about the fact there's a bed for every body, right? And the challenge, especially today, people's attention spans are so short. There many times the sales pro is faced with this reality. Maybe one significant other has drugged the other into the store. They're impatient. How do I maximize my time? Well, there's a shortcut, and it kills a lot of birds with one stone. If you get to the point where you are very proficient in providing a really good demo of a smart bed, you are opening up a treasure chest of information for yourself, whether or not they're interested in that particular technology. Because when you qualify somebody on a smart bed, and you have your foam beds, you have your spring beds, you have your hybrids. When you're qualifying them and you find their optimal sleep system, you can utilize a pressure scale that basically gives you an indication of whether the customer likes, a firm or a luxury firm or a medium or a softer feel based on what they say they prefer. And that's one of the things I love about qualifying people on these beds, is that you have the opportunity to just listen to the customer. How does that feel? Focus on the hips and your hips and the hollow of your lower back, which is the deepest curve of your spine. How does that feel? And you can see them thinking, they're processing, they wiggle around on the bed, and they'll say a little bit more or a little bit less until you find it. And then you have that pressurized air scale, right? And that number means something beyond their preference. It is unlocked options for your whole floor. So let's say, and I have a very poignant memory of being able to sell a very high-end foam bed that I sold off of my smart bed, because I was able to qualify both people on that mattress, find out what they prefer. Then I discovered that they wanted to see some other technologies, but I didn't have to qualify them any further. Based on the readout and what they said they preferred, I was able to take them to what I knew would be the closest thing to the feel that they said they preferred, based on the number that was on the remote that they said was perfect for them. Took them over. Long story short, and I was doing this for an RSA. I was helping them in a big sale, taking overflow traffic. I ended up selling a split king. Wasn't even my bed, but I qualified them very quickly. I didn't have to use the Goldilocks, lay on this softer one, lay on this medium one, lay on this firmer one, see which one you prefer. And what's really tough about that is we know in our industry that after about 5 laydowns, people get very, very confused. Okay. And then what happens is what we call the flop factor. They start laying on beds all over the store. You've completely lost them. They're confused about what they prefer because they don't know what's right for them. And what's driving that, Pete, in my humble opinion, is the fear of loss. The fear of loss is a tremendous motivator for customers to they feel like they have to try out every bed just to make sure they didn't miss out on what they preferred. But when you qualify them on a really good smart bed, okay, and you find out from them, from their own lips, that's perfect. That's what I want. That feels great. Okay. Wonderful. From your lips. Okay. I've heard you. And the really, really um, uh, insightful sales pro is already thinking of other options in case they need to pivot to another technology on their floor that has a very similar feel and they know exactly where to take them. I've literally seen customers go back and forth from a foam bed to back to the smart bed where they said that felt good and they said, wow, that is very similar. That's great. I can't tell you how many spring and foam beds I've sold off of qualifying on my smart bed, but I've also, in so doing, rising tide lifts all boats, Pete. In so doing, I've sold a lot of smart beds in my career, and it's been very, very exciting.
Thanks for sharing that with us. I
Sure.
don't know what happened to my audio. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay. We are going to be in B930.
B930.
Why should our dealers come to this market this time versus any other time in our history?
So what we have done is we have looked at our experience in the marketplace, and there's a number of areas in the country that are experiencing significant challenges. Okay, in how to make forward progress. And I love the intro of your store that you keep a positive attitude about it. And with challenges come opportunity, right? Always. So what we've done is taken this opportunity to do a number of things. We've collated our data and we've looked at where really the hot spot is in our price points and in our design and in our technology, and we have narrowed down our selection. And so what we're going to be doing is introducing a brand new retooled line of smart beds, brand new looks, very sharp looks, um, different features than you've experienced in the past, some new technology, and I'm not going to be any more specific than that because I want you to come in and see it, and a brand new retail support program uh, to help retailers and RSAs get forward momentum, not just in this market segment, okay, not just in smart beds, but there are people who, if exposed to this technology, whether they came in to look at that technology or not, for whom this really foots the bill for them. This answers the questions. This solves the problems that they're looking for. So we've tried to be really, really incisive in our looks, in our design, and in the program that we'll be offering for 2024. And I want to encourage everybody to come on up and see us in B930. I will be there through Wednesday. And I think we're going to have a great time at market.
You're staying all the way to Wednesday, my friend.
Well, Wednesday afternoon, brother.
Okay.
Wednesday afternoon, I'll wing it back to Dallas. But I'm looking forward. I'm going to be very, very focused and very excited, very enthusiastic about what we're fielding in the smart bed arena in the future. You know, one of the things I always talk about, Pete, is that I want to be retailer centric. I want it to be about their story. You and I have this discussion all the time that the name of the retailer is the brand, right? And we want stuff that strengthens the brand. And one of the ways that retailers can strengthen their brand is to say, listen, to every customer, whether it be at the greet or wherever you are in your critical path, and everybody has their own critical path. Some dealers have a very defined critical path, but every RSA has a critical path that they follow in their presentation. And you and I have talked about the importance of presentation. Is that you're able to say, listen, I have a high level of confidence that we're going to find the right bed for you today, the right mattress for you today, because we carry the best in class in spring technology, in foam, in hybrid, and in smart beds. Now, there's going to be a certain percentage of people who say, "Oh, I didn't know you carried smart beds." We've been thinking about that. We're interested in looking at that technology. Well, great. Now you've uncovered an interest, and you know you always move to the heat. So they've given you a hot spot in their mind. You can move right to it. Others may say, "Oh, great. I'll be interested in looking at that or considering that." Okay. So always, but the main thing is that you're elevating the brand. We are a one-stop shop. We carry all technologies on our floor. There's no need to go anywhere else to look for the different approaches to a sleep system. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that quickly.
I appreciate that. So this is what I get from some retailers sometimes, and I'm going to make a statement and then I'm going to let you kind of have at it.
Sure.
You know what? We don't get that many calls about smart beds, and the few calls that we get, you know, we're able to convert all of those into sales. So we're winning without having it on our floor. And I'm going to say this to you, to everyone who says that. You will never know how many you have missed until you carry a smart bed on your floor. And then your eyes are going to get as big as silver dollars, my friend, because you're going to realize you've missed a lot of sales. And it's going to make you sick to your stomach when you figure it out that you've missed a handful of sales per month over the last 10 years that you could have made, but you didn't. So you can't do anything about your past, but you can do something about your future. And I would encourage everybody to come to our space, B930 at Market. And if nothing else, I'm going to tell you this. Mark Klingenberg is the greatest sales talent I have ever seen in my 41 years. And I know he gets embarrassed when I say this. I had a top 100 tell me, Pete, you got to meet this guy. His name is Mark Klingenberg. He's the best. And I'm like butthurt. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, you always told me I was the best. And after we did our first sales meeting together, I came over to Mark and I said, well, it's true. And you're like, what? What's true? I go, it's true. You're the best. You are the best I've ever seen. So whoever said love instant comfort, personal comfort, we tried others, and this is the Cadillac. Whoever said that, thank you. And Trent, I am so glad you joined in. I know you're going 100 miles a minute, brother. And I just want to know this. Is little Trent watching too? That's what I want to know. Mark, have at it.
Well,
I will get to Randy in a minute. So, thanks, Chris.
What was the question, Pete? What were you? I'm sorry.
The question was, you'll never know how many
Right.
sales you've missed until you carry a smart bed on your floor. You actually have it, demo it, show it to customers, and let them make the decision instead of you making the decision by opting not to carry it.
Certainly, and let's just talk facts, right? This market segment has burgeoned for years. Okay. Um, there is a certain segment of the buying public that sees the value of adjustable comfort, the value of getting what you want on your side of the bed, uh, understanding that as your needs change, the bed can change with you. And this has continued to grow and grow and grow. All right. And I've heard it too, Pete. I've heard it too. People saying, even though we don't offer that technology, we convert that to something else. Well, uh, it obviously hasn't hurt the competition uh, because they continue to grow. And as you said, there is a concept here that I think retailers need to consider. Number one, can you really abdicate any segment of the market right now? And also, you don't have to make a huge floor space commitment with our bed. I mean, I always love a better, best, exceptional lineup. 3 SKUs. I think that shows a level of commitment and belief, a depth of belief. But ostensibly, even with one, you've got, because you have 45 comfort settings on each side of the bed, and it can be adjusted on each side of the mattress. It's not going to take a lot of real estate necessarily to be able to cover that market segment. Now, one of the barriers has been, it takes a little time to do a really good demo. It's not like, hey, lay on this and lay on that and then talking about it. You actually lead them through a demonstration, but just like anything else, practice makes perfect, and you get more and more proficient in your demonstration of smart bed technology. You'll get very fluent. It adds to your credibility. Okay. And again, it is retailer centric. Rather than saying, no, but we have this, we can say, yes, we have it. It is part of our menu, and it just strengthens your position with the buying public. So again, my 2 arguments there would be, can you afford to abdicate that market segment? I would say no. And that is something that I learned way back in the day when I was working in sleep shops here in North Dallas. We needed something. We needed something that would help us capture that buyer. And we added a few SKUs of a number bed. It wasn't American National at that time. It was Comfort Air. And the better I got at presenting it, the more conversions I had, and the more a higher capture rate we were able to obtain. And we also, even back then, we had the split tops on power bases, and it was great. Now, that was not to the exclusion of our foam, of our spring beds. It just made our menu complete. So don't abdicate that to the competition. Strengthen your position in the marketplace and increase your capture rate. That's the best throw I have at that objection.
So, Mark, if you were to put a number on the smart bed market, just broad strokes, billion, 2 billion.
Yeah, we're talking 3 billion plus in the smart bed marketplace. So it's significant. It's happening in your trade area. If you have one of our primary competitor stores, within an hour of you, the smart beds are being sold right there in your trade area. Why would you not say, we carry that technology as well? Okay. We carry something that I would like you to consider if that's of interest to you. Now, there will be people, again, that just because you mention it, Maybe they weren't thinking about it, but they're curious. Okay, they'd like to at least try it. You're able to do that. It makes you a one-stop shop.
So I'm going to ask you a very specific question. If I went to market and I stopped in your space in the summer, how many of those beds are going to be in the space this time at winter? I'm trying to get a handle on how many are changing, because I'm a busy buyer and I don't want to stop by you telling me you got all new models and there's one or two models that are new.
They're all new. We are doing a complete refresh reset. Okay. And we've needed to do this for a long time. We haven't refreshed either line in forever. I think it's been 4 years for Instant Comfort and well over 2 years for Personal Comfort. So it is high time to refresh both the looks. And we're making some changes in the technology. And again, I'm going to kind of hold that close to the vest, but I want you to come in and take a look, put it to the test. Both existing and prospects, please do come in. One of the things I like to say, if you'll allow me to give you a demo, I will happily do so. And then I'm going to turn the keys over to you. I'm going to say in car sales parlance, I'm going to say the keys are on the hood, keys are in the ignition. Take it for a test drive yourself.
That's awesome. Chris, can you pull Randy's question? Randy Thompson asks, Mark, I missed the beginning 15 minutes of the program. Would you explain what the smart bed term refers to? Randy Thompson.
First of all, great to hear you from you, Randy. Go way back with Randy Thompson. So let's talk about that smart bed technology. What's smart about Instant Comfort and or Personal Comfort? Well, as opposed to what? First of all, right? A set feel bed, as good as it is what I would refer to as a dumb bed, in the sense that it can't be adjusted. There's nothing you can do to adjust the support level in the mattress. So the ability to adjust each side of the bed in increments of 1, 5 through 40, 5 through 50, 45 individual settings, that's pretty smart. The ability to set a memory to remember your setting, pretty smart. The ability on the quilted products, and by the way, we are going to have quilted products. I want you to take a look at them at market, with reversible top covers that have temperature neutralizing qualities to them to help maintain optimal temperatures. That's pretty smart. The ability to swap out componentry because it's modular, pretty smart. The ability to sync it to an app on your smartphone or your smart device and control the bed, not just the mattress, but if you buy a compatible power base, you can adjust the whole sleep system. That's pretty smart. A system that monitors the pressure in the system so that when you set it to, in my case, 28 millimeters of mercury, you're assured that it's 28 millimeters of mercury. Pretty smart. Okay. So there, in my humble opinion, as opposed to a bed that doesn't have any of these smart features, this is a very, very smart bed comparatively. So that would be my answer to Randy. And thank you, Randy, for the question. And thanks for all you've done in smart bed sales in the past and the present, and hopefully in the future.
Mark, that went fast. Everybody, hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
We will see you at market in a couple of weeks. Yes, you should say hi to Pete as well. Hey, Ben, thank you for saying hi. Thank you for ducking in here when you're super busy on a Monday. I can't wait to go to Vegas. I can't wait to see you, Mark. And I can't wait to see a showroom full of all new product. That is so exciting.
Yes. Yep. I am really, really enthusiastically looking forward to what we're fielding in this technology in 2024. I think it's exciting, very exciting for us, and exciting for prospects and existing dealers.
Thank you so much, Mark, for coming on the show, and everybody that contributed to the show. Thank you so much. And until I see you next time, sell a million.
Thanks, Pete.